Listen, man, I'm not the type of person that likes to get into the gossip and the hoopla and all this other wonderful stuff, but I felt like this one is really applicable because it applies to someone who, technically speaking, works in the same field as me. We've got food influencer drama. And I'm sure you're probably asking, how the hell can a food influencer get into drama? So a lot of times what happens, and I personally don't do this, but some food influencers will actually do outreach, where they'll reach out to different businesses offering their services. I've alluded to this in a lot of videos, but I know some people practice soliciting businesses and saying that they can do a review or do a video for a fee. Personally, I have been against that since I've started, and I never will charge a small business a fee or solicit them. I've definitely had businesses reach out to me, but I have yet to take any money from a small business asking for any sort of review or anything like that, and I will not do that. But with that being said, we've got something that's gone pretty viral. So there was a food influencer that goes by the name of Glamorama, based out in Arizona, that I guess has been doing some outreach to some of these places, asking for her services to be rendered. And there is a specific bakery out in Arizona called JL Patisserie that they reached out to. Because I'm the type of person that I don't want to miss any clues here. I'm just going to let this bakery, who made a TikTok about this, tell you exactly what happened.
So we recently had an influencer reach out to us and asked to do a collaboration, and we respectfully declined because it was not in our budget right now. Then she essentially tried to blackmail us by saying if we offered the food for free, she would then write a good review about us. I told her we'd think about it, but she still came in the next day.
Now, I had to actually look at these DMs. I've never participated in something like this, but I was curious. So it says, hello, many friends have highly recommended your pastries. They look amazing. I saw the pumpkin one on TikTok. I was hoping to come in and do a reel on Saturday or Sunday. Would you be interested in a collab? Thank you, with a smiley face. But this is to me where things start to get a little spicy, and ethically, I think we'll get into all that. I'm just reporting the news here. It says here, when it's a collab, I will still do the honest review and highlight focus on what I enjoyed and be softer, quicker on my words of what I may not like as much. And the experience is terrible. I won't post anything for the kindness of the hospitality. The meal will need to be comped, including the gratuity, including the tip. More or less after that, the person said, thanks, but no thanks. We don't really have money to pay influencers or give gratuity like that. And even with that, they figured it was all said and done. So apparently the woman comes in the very next day and does a review anyway.
Do not mind spending $10 on a pastry if they are really good, but you cannot use fake ass ingredients. That pistachio color is about as natural as my boobs, ass, and waistline. The coffee was super sour and acidic, but I prefer a creamy chocolatey espresso. $5 for a canali. I didn't even pay that in Santro fucking Pay, but that's the price next to the Phoenix airport? Okay. I was also super disappointed in the quiche. I prefer a quiche with a thick, rich, buttery crust. This had a paper thin crust. If I wanted to ingest this much eggs, I would have eaten an omelet.
I'm gonna let JL Patisserie take it away from here.
We hadn't agreed to collab with her. We recognized her when she came in, and we still were very accommodating and offered her extra drinks. So we totally respect a bad review. But what we don't like is lying and bullying. The first thing she said was that our pistachio was so faked. Fun fact, we have right here our pistachio paste that is 100% pistachios from Italy.
So if you get the idea behind the bakery, they basically came with receipts saying everything that you called out, we can prove wrong, including the pistachio is fake. And at one point, she actually goes and shows the flour where it's imported from Italy. The ingredients aren't even in English. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We use premium ingredients for our stuff, because she said most of it was overpriced and she wouldn't go back again. Now, as of me making this video, that rebuttal to this person's review has since gone incredibly viral. On TikTok, it has 56.9 million views. A lot of people have seen it and are siding with the bakery. I'm usually not the type of person to pick a side on the internet, but I have to say, I side with the bakery as well. Since then, the influencer who was using their influence, I guess, to get some free food has since deleted every video off their account and posted one long note. Now, I'll just kind of give you the first thing. First and foremost, I want to address the fake ass ingredients comment. When I tasted the pastry, I noticed a strong pistachio flavor that reminded me of extract or flavoring, so I assumed that was used to enhance the taste. Maybe it was added, maybe it wasn't. But I want to be clear, they use real ingredients as well, and I should have been more thoughtful with my wording. The end of it says, at the end of the day, we're all human. Sometimes we mess up publicly, and that all we can do is take accountability, learn, and grow from it. Thank you to everyone who reached out with kindness, and even to those who've held me accountable. I hear you, and I'm using this as an opportunity to grow and be or do better. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because if you've been watching my second channel long enough, I have in the past made videos saying things like this, where I know that there are people behind the scenes that engage in behavior like this, that they reach out to businesses. Now, she didn't ask for money, but I know that that does happen in the industry. I've over the years been able to meet a lot of really nice business owners that run local businesses that have told me to my face and shown me the receipts, which I don't have copies of, nor will I tell you. There are popular influencers on the internet that I know for a fact solicit businesses and give good reviews for money. I hate being grouped in with influencers, and this is why. I have always talked about how I try to engage in activity that is, I don't even like getting free food. Sometimes it's out of my control. It does happen at times, but I'm always very, very open about when it does happen. And I can tell you emphatically that I have never once told a place, give me free food. I've never reached out and said, give me free food. I've never once said I expected my food to be for free. There are definitely times that I've gone to businesses, especially like the second time I've gone, where I go to pay for the bill and the person's like, oh, no, I don't think so. You don't got it. And some of them are very insistent on it. I can tell you at one specific time, I went to a pizza place that I'd been to a bunch of times. I can tell you the names, it doesn't really matter at this point, but it was Grumpy's Pizza Company, which was a review posted on my main page. I never walk in with like people knowing I'm coming. He never knew I was coming, even though I have spoken to him in DMs. So I walk in, I pay for my food, and I order my food, and I just basically sit down. I don't see him at first, but he comes from out of the back. I guess he got wind that I was here, and he basically, said, what's up? You want to try some of this? I got some more food. You got to try this stuff. Next thing you know, it turns into, for me ordering a pizza, to me, him insisting I try half the menu. So when I'm sitting there trying the food, he's like, yeah, don't worry about the food and anything like that. And I was like, nah, no, it's good. I already paid. He reached into the thing. He saw the receipt, took the cash out of the counter and put it in my bag, which I then put in the tip jar. But it does happen with things like that. But I think it is incredibly unsavory for any influencer to solicit and ask for money and then go in after that and write a bad review. It's just in horrible taste. I, of course, have done brand deals with large corporations who have a marketing budget. I'm talking like KFC, Taco Bell, Papa John's, and places like that. But when it comes to small businesses, I'm insistent that I would never take money for a review. And I just think it's bad because you don't want it to influence your opinion. If you call yourself, which I hate the term influencer, because I'm not trying to influence anybody. I'm just trying to give you my honest opinion, which I try to do in every video I've ever done. But if you're saying that you take money, your word is all you have when it comes to doing these types of things. If your word is no good, you shouldn't have that platform in order to do so. You should never have your word to take money for reviews on anything. I don't care if it's tech. I don't care if it's food. I don't care if it's movies. If someone's paying you to say something's good, what the hell are we doing here? But the biggest reason why, I know in 2025 especially, social media, your TikToks, your YouTubes, your Instagrams, etc., the business part of it has boomed to the point that is an actual industry. Influencers, from even the small micro influencers all the way up to the mega influencers with millions of followers or subscribers, make a substantial amount of money off of this. And because of that, the ethics has kind of gone by the wayside more than ever. It used to be things back in 2015 where only mega influencers were making money, but there's people out there with 5,000 followers, 2,000 followers that make a lot of money. And because of that, it's gotten to the point where there is an entire subculture of influencer, where there's anti-influencers or people who just genuinely can't stand any person that works in the influencer content industry field. I don't even take exception to that, because it's people that do things like this that give people that are trying to do the right thing a bad name. And I understand where people are coming from, because any comment section I see where people are like, oh, well, this is why we shouldn't have influencers. I disagree with that, but I understand where people are coming from, because when stories like that come out, it gets way more traction than the people who are out there actually like doing the right thing. It's a shame. I know that like people, I've gotten some things like, what are your thoughts on this? And that's why I wanted to make this video. It genuinely bothers me when people do stuff like that. And I think it shows a lot about a human being, because at this point, this person that was making these videos, every person who's ever gotten to a point where they have climbed in amount of followers, we all started with 0. Every single person you see, I don't care if you have 20 million or 20 followers, everybody starts with the same number. And it just says a lot about a person, in my opinion, of what you did before you even got to a point. Look, to get 8,000 people to look at you do anything is a big deal. But imagine if that person had 8 million, how much more they'd be charging when they got to that point. The one thing I can say that came good from this, that business, the line is supposedly out the door. They have been getting rave reviews. So apparently the highly recommended place that she bashed is now like their business is probably doing 1,000 times better. And you've got food influencers now, because when places get hot like that, when they get viral like that, anybody in my industry besides me, they get on planes and they go over there. I don't really travel because, you know, I don't really be traveling, bro. You know, I'm going to be me. I'm not really a traveling dude. I'm staying in Jersey. Even though you really want me to travel, I got to be me about this. I'm not saying I'm against traveling, bro. It's just not yet. Okay. I haven't hit that lever yet. All right. I got to have my ducks in a row before I do all that stuff. I'm a homebody. I started going out this year. At least that's good. But I'm glad that business is doing well. I'm glad that they were the first one to call this person out and be like, nah, you lying here because we got all this stuff. And you saying that we using fake stuff and all this other stuff. I'm going to show you the real stuff. Here you go. Whew. So I'm glad that it worked out for them. They actually pulled a Uno reverse, and I couldn't be happier for them. But I just wanted to talk about this. I'm sure this was like a nothing burger of a yap. But when I saw this, I was just like, bro. I hope that made sense to y'all. Let me know your thoughts about it. You know, I know a lot of y'all know how I feel about the content creation industry and stuff like that. I'm just not big on it. And you know, this is the reason why. That's why I'm just a low-key type of person that tries to stay in my lane, bro. I don't be trying to do all that stuff, you know. So I appreciate y'all, man. No outro on this channel.